when you look at how journalists report science, they hardly ever include the uncertainties in the result that any properly published scientific paper includes. You could go from a scientific paper that said, well, there's a 50% chance this might happen in a bit, and here's the uncertainty bars on it. The journalist doesn't see all of that. They just see the statement at the end, and that gets printed. And so so another paper gets published a couple of months later and finds a slightly different result. And so then they publish that result, the journalist. And the public then sees a result here and then there and then there, and they think that somehow science doesn't know what it's doing. Now that may be true in some cases, but the fact is, on the bleeding frontier edge of science, you actually expect that. That's not something bad, that is something normal. And if the journalist doesn't report it that way, it gives the false view that the methods and tools of science are not actually doing what they're supposed to. So that's one point. Another point about journalism and its intersection to the frontier of discovery is that there's a journalistic ethos where they presume that there's always some other side to a problem. And then they give equal time to that. So if I say Earth is round and it goes around the sun, the journalist, this is an exaggerated example, of course, but the journalist might feel obligated to find a flat earther to get the opposing story. And then they'll pat themselves on the back and say, I gave a balanced journalistic account. And so the interesting thing about science is that while there might be two or more versions of our emerging understanding of the world, at the end of the data taking, at most one of those versions will survive. Maybe none of them will survive. That is not the case with politics or religion or anything else where they've got to go get all the multiple points of view.